Greetings, Elderly Vegan here, and welcome to my video where I will provide you with a brief overview of my educational background and how it applies to the videos I produce. I say this because much of the content of my videos is somewhat technical and as such is the kind of information which is typically the domain of physicians, research scientists, sports physiologists, and nutritionists. And although I do not fit into any of these categories, I am, however, not devoid of a science and medical background. My first undergraduate degree was in secondary education as a biology major, but I also hold another degree in cytotechnology, which is a rather obscure branch in the medical field. As such, I was employed for a 24-year period in the pathology department of a hospital laboratory as a registered cytotechnologist. And given this is a rather obscure branch in the medical field, I will explain briefly my job assignment. I was involved with cancer detection at the microscopic level, in which case I generated a preliminary diagnosis with regard to specific medical specimens as to whether or not those specimens were benign, premalignant, or malignant. My work was then handed off to a pathologist who generated the final diagnosis. But upon full retirement from my hospital job, that is when I began my deep dive into health and nutrition, which has been a work in progress for the last 26 years. And you can bet those 20 or so books on the health and nutrition that you see behind me formed the foundation of my knowledge in this area. So one might ask, what's the purpose of creating all of these videos on nutrition? Well, my intent with these videos is to provide valuable nutritional information which unfortunately is not provided in our school systems, nor is it provided as an integral part of our healthcare system in the form of nutritional and lifestyle counseling. Yet this information is absolutely of the utmost importance if leading a long, healthy, vibrant life is of any value whatsoever. Therefore, in a manner of speaking, my goal is to interpret the big takeaways or the main concepts of a health-promoting diet which is contained within those books that you see behind me, yet at the same time keeping the technical information as user-friendly as possible. But without a doubt, if one remembers what they learned in high school biology, it would be really helpful. However, I do have one additional qualification, which is by no means trivial, leastwise with regard to exceptional health and wellness, which I've enjoyed throughout my life. I think it's fair to say that at age 75, I have indeed attained a level of excellent health and vitality which I suspect is virtually impossible for those who have embraced the standard American diet and have led a sedentary lifestyle, and have achieved this level of health by flying on two engines, as it were, which includes both a health-promoting, whole food, plant-based diet as well as a regular program of physical activity. Furthermore, I've never been on any prescription medications for any form of chronic disease in my entire life. In fact, I haven't even needed to see a primary care physician in the last 30 years. That said, I've not been flying in the dark with regard to my health and wellness. Over the years, I have indeed had consultations with a doctor of functional medicine who's kept track of my health and wellness with special attention given to comprehensive assortment of lab tests to ensure my health stays on track. And I might also mention the results of those lab tests, which have proven to be so problematic for most Americans, have turned out fantastic with regard to my overall health and wellness. So I encourage you to take the time to watch these videos, and perhaps you too will find valuable information to incorporate into your own personal program for optimal health and longevity. If successful, you should be able to go a long way by taking personal responsibility for your own health and wellness, leastwise with regard to the top 12 or so causes of death in America. To your good health, the Elderly Vegan.